Guys, I have spent the past 2 days going over the JFK files. I've used artificial intelligence. I've dug, and I have essentially found out a lot. And the biggest thing you're going to find out is that on November 22nd, 1963, JFK was led straight into an ambush. The official story, the lone gunman Lee Harvey Oswald got off 3 miraculous shots from a piece of shit rifle under 6 seconds. The truth, what you're going to find out, is a multi-agency coup. The CIA, Secret Service, LBJ, Mossad, and organized crime all played a role. And the more you dig, the more lies unravel. And the thing is that you're going to figure out this deep state has been around for a very long time. It's most of what you've been told as an American probably is propaganda, probably is a lie used to control you. These organizations, this deep state has been around forever, and it has so many people involved. And today we're going to be dismantling the biggest cover-up in American history. I'm driving to the safe house right now to film the video. Let's get into it. Guys, thanks for tuning in. So we're going to start off with part 1, and we're going to call this the setup. JFK's enemies close in. Now, the Secret Service had a role in this trap. So the Dallas motorcade, I'm going to show some photos here. The Dallas motorcade actually was changed at the last minute. So it was not planned that he would be in this position or area, but at the very last minute, they switched his vehicles, redirected Kennedy straight into the kill zone on Dealey Plaza. So number one, the biggest thing about this is that if Lee Harvey Oswald had set up shop in this area, that the car was never supposed to go, that placed him right in the kill zone. Okay. Standard security protocols were also ignored. Agents were pulled from the rear of the limo. Very odd. That doesn't happen. And motorcycle escorts were removed, leaving JFK completely exposed. Why was he led straight past the Texas School Book Depository where Oswald just so happened to be? It doesn't make sense. Okay. He should not have been there. So if Oswald was planning to take this shot, how would he have even known that this misdirection was going to happen? That's a huge piece of the puzzle. And that alone should tell you that something is awry. Okay. Now, the CIA motive, JFK had to go. JFK fired the CIA director, Allen Dulles, after the Bay of Pigs disaster and swore to shatter the CIA into 1,000 pieces. He wanted to destroy the CIA and completely remove the agency. Okay. Obviously, a lot of spooks would not be happy about the man doing that. Okay. Now, the CIA controlled the media during this time. We knew that. They do that now. And within hours of the assassination, anti-conspiracy pamphlets were already being distributed, ensuring the official story stayed on track. So they already had these pamphlets printed up to dispel any kind of conspiracies, right? Another high-ranking CIA officer, David Atlee Phillips, had known connections with none other than Lee Harvey Oswald, right? Lee Harvey Oswald is very instrumental in why this gets dismantled, by the way. Now, again, I have been going through this stuff, and there's a lot of just kind of nonsense in there, but I think the biggest things we're going to see is how this was a multi-agency. A lot of people took part in this. And my biggest question was, well, how do they keep so many people quiet? That's answered as well. Now, Lyndon B. Johnson, role in the coup. JFK, if you didn't know, planned to drop LBJ from the ticket as vice president in 1964, and Johnson knew it. LBJ was tied to massive corruption scandals that Kennedy was planning to expose. The infamous wink photo. Let me see if I can get it up here. This is important. Let me try to pull this thing up, and I apologize. Man, it's just so freaking much stuff. Here we go. I'm uploading now. Known as the wink, Albert Thomas winks at Vice President LBJ before he takes oath of office as the 36th president on Air Force One. And you see Jackie Kennedy right beside him, blood-covered dress. He's smiling like the president of the United States just got assassinated, and we're smiling about this, right? It's incredible. Now, that was a silent signal that the job had been done, right? Now, again, let's play some video here. I have to cut this is the famous Zapruder film. What they come to find out is the Zapruder film was edited later. They found that out. Lots of cover-up involved in this. And basically removed his security and put him in a bad situation, right? Now, the mafia. Let's talk about the mafia. The mafia plays a role in this. Mafia and Mossad connection. So RFK Sr. was waging war against organized crime despite the mafia help getting JFK elected. Jack Ruby, Oswald's killer. Jack Rubenstein, by the way, if you know where that name comes from a place that we're going to get into with Mossad ties. Jack Ruby, Oswald's killer, was deeply connected to Mayor Lansky's Jewish crime syndicate, a known Mossad asset. So Jack Ruby was more than likely a Mossad asset. Ruby admitted before his death that he was controlled by very serious people. And he also warned that Jews would be slaughtered if the truth came out. And mysteriously, Jack Ruby died not too long after, when he developed cancer suddenly. If you don't know, the CIA has the ability, many governments have the ability to do that. They say that about Chavez, that he was injected with some type of, that give you a fast-paced cancer. So that's not something new, right? Now, Oswald, let's get Oswald, because Jack Ruby and Oswald actually met each other 3 weeks before at a nightclub. So they knew each other. Now, Oswald was the patsy, and he also knew too much. Oswald, they could not figure out that he bought the rifle. The official story claims Oswald purchased the murder weapon by mail order. The problem is the handwriting on the order form does not match Oswald's. A bigger problem is the serial number that was traced to the rifle, to a rifle Oswald had never handled. So the serial number of the rifle, Oswald had never touched it in his life. They also tried to paint a story about how he carried curtain rods home to hang curtains wrapped in a sheet or something. And so they were trying to say, oh, it was the rifle. But apparently it was really curtain rods. The other red flag is that Oswald lived a life beyond his means. Despite having low-paying jobs, Oswald was seen driving expensive cars, dining at fancy restaurants, and moving between cities with ease and also other countries, right? Who was funding him? What intelligence agencies were funding him? Now, the smoking gun, Oswald's palm print was planted. When Oswald was arrested, there was no palm print found on the rifle, no prints of Oswald's whatsoever. Days later, after Oswald was dead, suddenly the FBI found a print on the rifle. Even the forensic examiner admitted it was likely planted posthumously, meaning after his death. Another big thing is Oswald had no gunpowder residue on his face. So that when they did a test on, they did find gunpowder residue on his hands, but not on his face. Now, forensic experts will say that if you're firing a rifle holding your cheek to a rifle, and you fire a rifle, you're going to have gunshot residue. He had none. Okay. Obviously, the gunpowder residue can be planted on his hands. Oswald fired shots from a rifle also that was not yet zeroed. It didn't have a zero. It was not aligned. The scope optic was not aligned with the rifle. So it was basically unusable. And 0 gunpowder residue on his cheeks. During his time in the Soviet Union, even the KGB officer that wrote a report on him labeled him as a poor shot, saying he was incapable of making those shots alone. Also, Lee Harvey Oswald was a Marine. However, he did poorly in marksmanship. Now, what we're going to talk about now is that the shooting, the ballistics that destroyed the official story. Again, the rifle was not 0. The scope was misaligned. So how did Oswald make an impossible shot at a moving target, right? And this is something very far away, right? From a 6-story window on a moving target with a misaligned optic, right? The optic was not aligned to the rifle. So the other thing is that, and I looked at the Warren Commission as well as the House Special Committee on Assassinations, both of those. Now, the Warren Commission was obviously a cover-up. Okay, obviously a cover-up. The House Specials Committee basically said that they all but named who was actually involved, right? Now, the other thing is the impossible shooting speed. Initial ballistics tests proved it was physically impossible for Oswald to fire that rifle so quickly, 1.6 seconds between shots. Experts call it impossible. The new numbers were later revised to 1.66 seconds to barely fit within pre-approved parameters. The other thing is expert marksmen could never replicate it. FBI marksmen failed to match Oswald's alleged shooting speed and accuracy. The HSCA, the House Special Committee on Assassinations, own ballistic tests contradicted their final conclusion, yet they still pushed the lone gunman theory. They knew that they could not go against that story. Now, the fourth shot, evidence of multiple shooters. The House Select Committee on Assassinations detected a 4th gunshot, which came from the grassy knoll. This alone proves that there's multiple shooters. The other thing in the Zapruder film, if you see it, that JFK head snaps back. I have to remove it because of YouTube, but his head snaps back instead of forward. So he was definitely shot from the front. Okay. Now, the other thing is the cover-up, silencing the truth. Witnesses who knew too much, right? Let's talk about those people. Dorothy Kilgallen, a journalist investigating the case, was found dead. Gary Underhill, and let's see if I can get his file. I do have it somewhere up here. The testimony. Let me get the image so that way you can get it. I've got so many that it's really hard to keep up, dude. I mean, you're talking thousands of pages. So Underhill, a former CIA agent, claimed rogue elements in the agency were behind it. He was found dead soon after. The weird thing about his death is that he was right-handed. He ran to his friend's house, told his friends what happened. 6 months later, he was found dead in his Washington apartment. There was a gunshot behind his left ear. He was right-handed. So, you know, it's very weird to shoot behind the head. You know, honestly, it's weird. But if you look here, he had been an intelligence agent during World War II and was recognized authority on limited warfare and small arms, a researcher and writer on military affairs. He was a first-name basis with many of the top brass of the Pentagon. He also had intimate terms with a number of high-ranking CIA officials. He was one of the agency's unpeople who performed special assignments. At one time, he had been a friend of Samuel Cummings, the arms broker that numbers among its customers is the CIA. And ironically, Klein Sporting Goods of Chicago, from where the mail order Carcano allegedly was purchased by Oswald. So, more evidence there. Now, there's another guy, David Ferry, an Oswald associate, was also found dead before he could testify. The Warren Commission was a deep state cover-up, a cleanup crew, right? Alan Dulles, the fired CIA director, was one put on the commission investigating the crime. Critical evidence was ignored, altered, or destroyed. Classified files, the truth was still hidden. Trump tried to release all JFK files in 2017, but was pressured into delaying them for national security reasons. Why 60 years later are they still trying to hide the truth? That's a big thing. A few other, the trajectory obviously does not match the ballistics. Another huge thing about this is that When Lee Harvey Oswald was interrogated, he was denied a lawyer. He was denied a lawyer. He was interrogated, but there was no recordings. There was only a couple hand-scribbled notes. And after the fact, LBJ told the FBI to destroy everything. So there was no record of anything that Oswald said. When Oswald was coming out, he was screaming, I'm just a patsy. I'm just a patsy. And then we know that Jack Ruby took care of him moments later, right? So another oddity is this right here. And if you look at this at the bottom here, it says that we have plenty. This is coming from, I forget what the guy's name is. Very hard to say. This is in the files, but it talks about that one guy involved with the mafia stated, we have plenty of money. Our new backers are Jews. As soon as they will take care of Kennedy. And so this was the Jewish mafia. So we had multiple different people involved. And honestly, man, there's so much more to this. And I could really go on for hours about it. There's just so much. It's so crazy. But the final conclusion of this was that essentially the JFK assassination was a deep state coup. He wasn't just assassinated, he was executed by the very government he was trying to reform. The CIA, LBJ, and Mossad, and the Mafia all played their roles in the most sophisticated cover-up in history. The official story is a lie, and the people who orchestrated it, they're still in power today, right? The deep state is still in power. It resembles Thomas Crooks completely, right? Oswald made trips down to Mexico supposedly, but the guy that was Oswald to meet KGB operatives there did not look like Oswald. There was multiple people in the depository that looked like Oswald that was not Oswald. Oswald was able to get away. A police officer named Tippett was shot and killed there, but maybe it's because Tippett knew something and he needed to die with a revolver at that. There were so many inconsistencies to this, but it leads that one, the Secret Service removed detail, kind of like what happened with Thomas Crooks. They put him in position to be executed. LBJ obviously had a lot of reason to do it. The Mossad, as well as the CIA and FBI and CIA also had information that they did not share with each other, right? They never shared this information with each other. They knew about Oswald and this sort of thing. Oswald had been in the Soviet Union. Oswald went to the Soviet Union, and he was already considered a traitor to this United States. They gave him a loan to come back to the U.S., which is against policy, and just mountains and mountains of evidence that Lee Harvey Oswald did not do it. He was a patsy. And it was so many people involved. And if you had any inkling of spilling anything, you wound up Epsteined, right? Now, my call to action is to spread the truth. If you're still watching, congratulations. You know more than the average American now. But I need you to do two things for me. Drop a comment below. Who do you think had the most to gain from JFK's death? Which organization or person had it? And share this video. The more people that see this, it's harder for them to keep the truth buried, guys. A lot of people think this is conspiracy theory. They don't believe this is true, but it absolutely is, guys. I need you to stay sharp. I need you to stay skeptical. And most importantly, stay frosty, stay strapped, and stay dangerous. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care.